And thanks for being with us, everyone. Year-on-year inflation rate for the month of November jumped to 50.3% at the back of rising food and fuel price increases. This is the highest in 27 years. The figure shows an upward adjustment of more than 9% from the previous figure of 40.2%, according to the Ghana Statistical Service. This is also the highest rate of increase recorded since the rebasing of the economy. Here's government statistician Professor Samuel Kobnenim addressing the media.
Every item can be part of only one subclass, and every subclass can be part of only one class. What this literally means is that all the items are mutually exclusive, which allows us to do disaggregation based on the hierarchy that we indicated earlier on. That is the 13 divisions, 44 groups, 98 classes, 156. The food division, having a weight of 43.7%, contributed more to the 50.3 inflation that was recorded for the month of November 2022. Specifically, the contribution of food and non-alcoholic beverages for the month of November 2022 was 47.9%, distantly followed by housing, water, electricity and gas 16.3%, and transport 12.9%. This really depicts the relative importance of the weights associated with the divisions and the items used for the computation of consumer price index and rate of inflation. Knowing that food contributed the highest rate of inflation, we narrowed down on the various subclasses on a year-on-year basis and on a month-on-month basis that saw food contributing 47.9% to the 50.3 percentage overall inflation that was recorded for the month of November 2022.
Well, joining us on Zoom, partner Deloitte Ghana, Yao Lati, to react to this. Thank you for your time, Yao. And so, well, no surprises, but I guess it's the 9 percentage point increase that is baffling, isn't it?
Yes, so good afternoon. I hope I'm audible.
Very audible.
Excellent. So I guess it's not surprising given the key factors or the three contributors of inflation in Ghana. And as you know, just to summarize it, we call it the 3Fs. So the three key factors that contribute to inflation in Ghana are first, food, secondly, fuel, and then the third is financial conditions. So globally, and for most developing countries like ours, if these three factors move upwards, you are likely to see inflation also trending upwards. And I think I would like to summarize the 5 key contributors of inflation in Ghana, which is usually published by the Ghana Statistical Service. So in the month of September, inflation was 37.2. This rose to 40.4 in October, and in November, we are currently having 50.3%. And like you said, it's over 9 percentage points jump in the month of November and from October to November. And the 5 key contributors are housing, water, electricity, and gas, what I call utilities. So in the month of November, utilities were at about 68.8%, and in the month of October at 68.8%. In the month of November, they shot up to 79%. The second was furnishing household equipment. As you know, a lot of purchases for household appliances, driven by promotions such as Black Friday and all, takes place in November. And so household equipment, which was about 51%, in the month of October, shot up 55%. The third is transport, and we know the key driver of transport is fuel. So as fuel prices are increasing, transport prices also go up. So transport price was 48%, they shot up to 63%. That's almost 20 percentage point increase in transport fares. The fourth is personal care, and then the last, food inflation, what we call food and then non-alcoholic beverages. That was around 48%, shooting up 53%. So when you have these 3 key factors, like I said, fuel, food, and then financial conditions, finance increasing, you are likely to have increasing inflation rates.
And well, we were told that things are going to get better once we are able to clinch that IMF deal. Yesterday, we saw a significant progress with the reaching of a staff-level agreement. How is that important in getting inflation to trickle down?
Yeah, so it's going to affect 2 main contributors of inflation. First is utilities. So the cost of fuel is going to go down significantly because of the depreciation of the local currency, which has now stabilized. So if we've seen some stability in the depreciation of the local currency, we should expect inflation to peak in the month of December and then should see some downward trend. If not a downward trend, we are going to see what we call a dip in growth. So we've seen a 9 percentage points increase from October to November. But let's say in the month of December, January, we are not going to have as high as 9 percentage point difference. It may be something lower, even though there will be an increase. So we should expect inflation to peak with the stability in the local currency and also us reaching IMF agreement. So it will first affect fuel and also it will affect transport fares positively. And then the third is that, as you know, inflation is driven by domestic or imported inflation. And imported inflation has been the key contributor of inflation growth in the last 5 months because of the depreciation of local currency at over 50%. So if the local currency stabilizes or sees some stability, imported inflation is going to slow down and we are going to see a dip in growth or some increase in inflation, but at a lower pace.
And the hurdle we have to cross in reaching that all-important deal has to do with the debt restructuring. Like the IMF pointed out, they need sufficient assurances. And we've seen organized labor kick against the debt exchange program. I'm just wondering, what choice does the government have now? Because this is an important precondition for a board approval.
Yeah, so I think that question is both government and then to even the investors. At the end of the day, the question to them is also, what option do they have if you don't also subscribe to this debt restructuring arrangement? Because the good news is we've seen in other countries. In Zambia, for instance, they are back on the same restructuring. But Zambia, unlike Zambia, they had defaulted on their sovereign debt. Ghana has not defaulted yet. We have only gotten some staff level agreement. And so what that should do is to accelerate our engagement with both domestic and international lenders. We are in a very difficult situation. It is not a pleasant situation. But I think what is important is for both parties to sit at the table and look at available. For me, the IMF staff level agreement gives some comfort. Because when we had a similar problem in 2015, 2016, we went to the international market to borrow with a guarantee from the World Bank. In the same way, this debt restructuring and then us reaching the IMF staff level agreement provides some comfort to investors. Most of the investors and lenders have not subscribed to the domestic exchange program because they weren't comfortable with it, and first, they had not been informed enough to take a decision. But we think that this IMF staff level agreement to accelerate engagement with the domestic bondholders who are still adopting what we call a wait-and-see attitude to rather come to the table and engage with government.
Is there an alternative to the proposal put forward by government? Just thinking out loud.
Yeah, so I think I can give the Zambia example. So Zambia, before they also started this program, what they did was that they had an IMF supporting with 1.3 billion for their loan program, or what we call debt restructuring program. We should also have this 3 billion amount that we are looking at, a portion of it, maybe 1.5 billion or 2 billion, allocated to what we call our loan program or our domestic and international loan program. So in the event that some of these lenders bring terms that are quite onerous, you use these conditions to put on the table. And it gives comfort to them because a lot of them do not have assurance that even if you tell me that in the year 2023, you are paying me 0% interest rate, and let's say the year after you pay me 5% or 10%, what's the guarantee that even when you get there, you will still not come back to the zero? So having an IMF agreement and an IMF extended credit facility gives comfort to these investors that, look, I'm still ready to take a haircut, but the haircut should come with some form of guarantee. And that guarantee is that beyond 2023, I'll still get some money back.
All right, and whilst government tries to figure its way around this, we have some good news about the city. It's continuing to rally against the US dollar and other major trading currencies. How much of this has got to do with the IMF deal that was reached, the staff level agreement that was reached just yesterday? Are you there, Yao? All right, I think we have a bit of a challenge with Yao. Hopefully we get him back, we'll continue the conversation. But we head next to the spare parts hub in Accra, where scores of dealers have shut down operations after defaulting in payment of their loans. We'll bring that to you, but I figure that Yao is back. So I want to conclude that conversation. Can you hear me, Yao? You're muted. Can you hear me? You're muted, Yao. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
All right. So we're making a point about the city and its strong showing in recent days. I was just asking how much that has got to do with the IMF staff level agreement reached yesterday.
Yeah, so generally, when you reach an IMF staff level agreement, it provides what we call investor confidence and then brings the credibility that was lost back into the economy. So that credibility has been restored. And when you have that, the speculative investors now go back to the market and start buying what we call the local currency. So now people are looking for CD and rather putting the dollar on the market. And so it's partly contributed by the IMF staff level agreement and then restoring confidence in the economy and also restoring confidence in the local currency. And I think that's a positive news, and we expect this to continue for a while.
For a while? For how long?
Well, that's the biggest question, because beyond reaching a staff level agreement, we would also have to reach a staff board, IMF board approval. If that board approval delays, we are likely to return to a situation where people start speculating again.
And so, well, just as we're coming on air, one of my colleagues said, well, this could be also positive speculation driving down the rates. You think so?
Yes, and it is. And I think for me, it's a good thing, because a lot of people who have bought dollars had no need and no use for the dollars. So why buy the dollars? If you want people who are doing the importation, the BDCs, and those who are importing for Christmas goods to be buying the dollars, and not speculative investors who have no use for the dollars.
All right, Yao Latte, thank you so much. Partner Deloitte, Ghana, join us with his thoughts on inflation hitting 50.3%, and also the IMF staff level agreement reached, and the city as well. So back to Accra, the spare parts hub, where scores of spare parts dealers have shut down operations after defaulting in payment of loans. James Ishen was there and comes through with this report.
Abossey-Okai has built its reputation in the spare parts trade to the point where parts for almost every car brand, including Toyota, Kia, and Honda, to name a few, can be found there. Over the years, Abossey-Okai spare part dealers have faced a number of challenges. With the country's current economic conditions, most of these dealers have no choice but to go into another business. So we understand over 50 spare part dealers here at Abossey-Okai have had their businesses collapse due to the current economic situation we have in the country. I have here George, who is also a spare part dealer and who also deals in car engines. I just want to understand, Cap, maybe I must say, a lot of spare part dealers in Omwejeja Jumano Kwabroche. They are Asian Casamamenti.
Okay, the woman say, Tisia, Okafor, and Emmanuel Amanonia. Well,
we are all aware that the cedi is depreciating, with the dollar occasionally appreciating. The government has been unable to find solutions to the cedi's rapid depreciation, and we must rely on dollars to import goods. How will you deal with the fact that the government officials there use the dollar for transactions? In Korea and Japan, it is illegal to conduct transactions in other foreign currencies. But in our part of the world, it is permitted because that is what the government is doing. It's been going on for years, and it's the reason why most businesses in town are failing. Most of them are unable to repay their loans and are forced to flee abroad in order to hustle for funds. You purchase a Picanto car for 200 million Ghana cedis, but the import charges exceed the cost of the vehicle. Now look at it. We can't afford it because of the depreciation of the cedi. So the new normal here is for people to leave their shops and travel abroad in search of money to pay off their debts. Most businesses that took out loans for the spare part dealings failed because they couldn't pay the interest due to poor sales. These days, we call our colleagues to bargain over the price of our spare parts. So on a daily basis, I ask some colleagues to go around and inquire about the price of goods in the area before I proceed. People around will sell engines at any price just to stay in business.
25,000. So, anymore, I just said, Afro big grab is 27, 28. So, because that's a one check it.
First engine as 25,000 cedis, but some of our colleagues sell it for 28,000 cedis. So, if you don't call someone to discuss the price, you may sell it and have to restock at a loss.
And then, Sikano, in what I say, dollar no cost, and I fancy Tamahabo and $1. And I work it. Did the more $1 air corner? Now, and Yaman also fancy car, fancy to take away. Bongo way. So, about January, February, we try to do Tibet 27,000. All I can we know.
It is illegal to conduct transactions in other foreign currencies. But in our part of the world, it is permitted because that is what the government is doing. It's been going on for years. And it's the reason why most businesses in town are failing.
Because as a gun, indeed, you mean, say, no, to do nobody low, I'll be allowed the union short time. That's what the Bible do, man, dear.
Taking out loans for a side business is a bad idea because you will end up losing money. We've had a number of them travel and refuse to return. We had not expected things to turn out this way, but it's us, and we have no control over the situation. Mr. John says taking out a loan for a business is a no-go area at this point in time. Taxes on imported goods have been a major source of concern for Kwesi, who works with middlemen to obtain his goods for sale.
Yani bogus for na e adwuma no na I say bogus no omo na etu nyama no free omo no omo kofa wo abrochi no omo de aba no amakoyi wo airport.
We work with some middlemen, and we've always been told that they go through a lot before they can clear the goods. As a result, they add more profit to what they sell, making things extremely difficult.
Now, never got chance on for 700 million. Oh, no 700 million, no, make my fine, so what 700 million, and your man who you know. Also, back of Pebisia, oh baby. No, I couldn't in your man, bet. I
agree with the drivers not lowering their fares because I know what they go through on a daily basis. I sell spare parts, but I understand their anguish.
Because of 700 million opportunity.
It is difficult to get drivers and others to purchase our spare parts these days. Would have to explain why things are so difficult, but they are unwilling to buy.
And so first nine said Antissa by
Taxes are still destroying the business. We've had promises from previous administrations, and I believe we are sick of them.
I hope they first in this time around.
These spare part dealers are urging government to develop proposals that will help businesses thrive.
High cost of doing business having a toll on spare parts dealers here in Accra. Now, it's been described as one of the biggest financial frauds in U.S. history. Sam Bankman-Fried, founder of the failed cryptocurrency exchange FTX, has been denied bail by a judge in the Bahamas following U.S. charges. Now, last month, FTX filed for bankruptcy in the U.S., leaving many users unable to withdraw their funds. According to a court filing, FTX owed its 50 largest creditors almost $3.1 billion. Joining us for Let's Talk Tech, marketplace tech pundit Henry Kobler, also lead for Eyes of Africa. Good to see you this afternoon. This is an interesting story and quite bizarre. Tell us, just for those hearing it for the first time, how FTX came to bankrupt.
So generally, thank you. Generally, when it gets down to the crypto markets, one of the things you should realize is that we sort of have the location where you're going to have most of your exchanges. And so we have the hardware wallet and then the software wallet. And a lot of people who are getting into the crypto game really would actually be sitting in the software wallet, which is more of the exchanges or the wallet itself. And so whilst you're holding your assets, which is any digital assets, in this crypto, exchanges, the possibility of, either going down and having your assets go down with the companies really is extremely high. And so that's why a lot of crypto enthusiasts would say that you will be possibly better off holding your crypto assets in hardware exchanges. Now, I think that some really had done a very good work in terms of bringing in huge and credible investors to come onto FX to do a good work in terms of pushing up the publicity and the credibility of his firm. But behind what he was doing, he was basically conspiring with one of the companies he had earlier started up, which is Alameda, to relatively be diverting the funds into Alameda into any asset acquisitions which he wanted. And so definitely most of the investors, whether hardware direct investors or people who are getting into trading into cryptocurrencies, were of the view because they had actually been rated very high as a credible exchanger. And so they definitely would hold much of the money and then would actually be doing a lot of the diversions. Now, there's been a lot of conspiracy theory in terms of how they had actually gone. Now, major of it is the diversion of funds into Alameda, but relatively, I think that quite a number of competitors looking at a company like Binance relatively being whistleblowers, because they believe that FTX was sort of engineering a political gain for itself rather than for the whole crypto market, and stepping down on most of the competitors relatively give it that edge to get over most of the competitors and coming up bigger. And so some of these competitors relatively also now saw it as a better bait to bring FTX down, and this is where we are today.
This wasn't deliberate, because at a point I was beginning to think it was.
It is. Looking at what the U.S. Securities and Exchange had released in terms of their press statement and charges towards him. Generally, if you're looking at the charges currently that they are having, you're looking at even more charges coming up. But again, it's actually a very deliberate attempt because, like I said, competitors had viewed FTX as a very close partner. Later, they had actually seen them as a political threat because they were engineering and funding a lot of political schemes. And so they relatively became a bit more dangerous in terms of as a company, looking out for itself only, and also doing a bit of back-end issues in terms of diverting funds as well. So for me, I see it as a full deliberate attempt to relatively hold funds. But I think that they've been doing this for quite a time. It's only that the crypto market really has had its own down plunge, and that really had given them that expose in terms of what they were really doing. If we were still in the bull market, I'm not sure that anybody would have still seen this come out in this way. But I think that because we had the downside, that's why it's really also coming in terms of the struggle in the crypto market.
Directly or indirectly, I'm sure there are some Ghanaian crypto traders who were affected by this. I spoke to a friend over the weekend who alluded to that fact. What are the lessons from this?
So generally, lessons from this, FTX is not only were just Ghanaians. Very credible, high-ranking, popular people had their funding, huge funding in there. And so for me, one of the very most important things is to realize that when you're getting into the crypto market, deal with the hardwares, start looking at storing your assets in hardwares where you can have direct contacts with it rather than always depending on the exchanges. Because, trust me, FTX was like part of the very first, and huge exchanges should actually have credibility attached to them. And so dealing with the hardware relatively with caution, again, I think that you would also have to sort of follow the trends and sort of understand the projects that these people are getting into it. Even Binance is now having some level of issues. And so you can't necessarily place all your bets in one basket.
And Henry, this also got our attention over the weekend. Social media buzzing following the failed Wizkid live concert. The Nigerian singer was supposed to perform at a live concert at the Accra Sports Stadium, but failed to show up, citing production and security reasons. We hear one of the reasons was because turnout was not massive as anticipated, and this has been blamed on ticketing issues, failed technology. So question is, was it the first time such technology was being deployed, and how come they failed terribly?
I mean, for me, one of the things I always keep telling people is that technology is the way to go, but that is not supposed to be the total dependent point. I mean, whenever you're deploying technologies like this, especially in our environments, it's better if you have sort of like a backup to some of these technologies. Ticketing online, using emails. We're not used to emails. I think that other means could have actually been used, like text messaging, a premium code, or something that could have just been used to definitely get it. Especially when you're deploying technologies, one of the most important things to check is the environment. Are Ghanaians like so much into emailing? Are they so much into barcoding? Do we understand this? If you get to China, everything is barcode. They sort of understand that mode. When you get here, I mean, we do a lot of text messaging, SMS messaging, WhatsApp messaging, and there are technologies which could have helped in that regard to help some of these things. Even online payments, I'm not sure. I've actually had to do an event where people waited on that day to relatively buy their tickets. And this is the attitude of the people that you're dealing with. And so as much as we're looking at technology and its deployment, we sort of also have to understand the mindsets of the people, the environment we're deploying these technologies to, and I think it will do a good work with us.
All right, we have to end it here. Henry Kobler, lead Eyes of Africa, thank you so much. Before we go, directorates in the Brim North District of the Eastern Region have received a donation from Intiamwa Foundation to boost education and health in the district. Here's more.
The Intiamwa Foundation has presented e-learning materials such as digital television sets, pen drives, and boxes of learning materials to the education sector in the said district, and also donated 7 sets of desktop computers and UPS to 7 chips compounds in the area at a total cost of 105,000 Ghana cedis. Speaking to Joy News, Shiva Banahini urged the Education and Health Directorate to take advantage of the items and use it for the intended purposes.
These items are going to chips compounds, 7 chips compounds on Intiamwa Foundation's support for chips program, and then early childhood support program. Under the early childhood support program, we have 5 schools that we've selected this year to benefit from it. So we donated e-learning materials and the learning materials, specifically TV sets, 11 Samsung 32-inch TV sets, and pen drives loaded with kids programs. These items are to also are to support the improvement of healthcare in the area. Specifically, there is this thing that the Ghana Health Service has introduced. It is the Ghana Integrated Logistic Information System. We want the chiefs to take advantage of it. At the moment, they are not being able to access it because they lack the needed equipment. We also want them to be able to take advantage of a National Health Insurance Authority's claimant policy, as well as to also ensure proper records keeping.
Receiving the items, the District Health Director, Stella also thanked the Intiamwa Foundation for such a wonderful donation to the CHIPS compound and promised that the devices will be used purposefully and appeal to other NGOs to help Brim North Health Directorate.
To the Intiamwa Foundation for such a wonderful donation that they've made to the directorates. Indeed, it's going to support us in our data management, managing our government, that's the stores management, managing our claims, that insurance claims that we've been working on, and budgeting and all other softwares that we are using. These machines are going to support us a lot. We appeal to other NGOs to also emulate these gestures so that they come to support us and all other philanthropists. We are Olivers. Oliver will always ask for more. We need more of such support. So please do come and support us so that we also render the necessary health care that we are supposed to render to the entire country.
For the education sector, Emmanuel Atipo received on behalf of the District Education Director, Charles Echampong, and thanked the Ntiamoa Foundation because it has come at the right time and will help teaching and learning at the kindergarten level. He added that the education sector in the area lacks teaching and learning resources, and this will go a long way to help teaching and learning in the district, and therefore took advantage to call for help for the Bream North District.
There are worthy teacher-learner resources for the KG. We need these items to enhance teaching and learning at the KG level. You know, at the KG level, the children use play activities to enhance their knowledge about their very surrounding. So these items would enhance that attempt at making the children appreciate materials around their surrounding, as well as appreciate what goes on in the further environment in terms of other children, the use of teaching learner resources that other children in certain jurisdictions use. We have the television sets, and that's what will enhance their interest in play activities. There were complaints about the shortage of teacher learner resources. We have them, but we don't have them in the numbers that we would want to have. We appreciate that we have teacher learner resources which are inadequate for the use of, especially at the KG level at our various schools.
Well, and that's our program this afternoon. Thanks for watching. More news on our website, myjoyonline.com/business. We will be back same time tomorrow.